Over 300 years ago, King Louis XIV of France asked Blaise Pascal, the great French philosopher, to give him proof of the supernatural. Pascal answered, "Why, the Jews, your majesty, the Jews." Is the survival of the Jewish people proof of the existence of God? On this Erev Shabbat Zachor, the Shabbat of remembering, we ask this question and more. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Face to Face. I am David Paskin. I'm here once again with Rabbi Alan Litwak. How are you, Rabbi Litwak?
I am great, Rabbi Paskin. It is nice to be with you as always.
It is nice to be back with you also. So, is it true? Is it true that every Jewish holiday is basically summed up by they tried to kill us, we won, let's eat? Is that really the case?
I think we're done for the day. Thank you very much for
all right,
stopping
everyone,
by.
have a wonderful day.
Have a great time. That was our shortest face-to-face episode ever.
I mean, is it though? I mean, because if it's true, that's both depressing and heartening, right? That every time, every holiday from maybe not Yom Kippur, but Hanukkah, Purim, Pesach.
Sure. Yeah. All of them have that. And the truth is that throughout our history, while powerful empires have risen and fallen, we as a minuscule, largely stateless until the last 70 years, and pretty despised group have managed to survive. We've warded off countless attempts, threats to our existence, and we've survived. Not only have we survived, but we have thrived. And I think that there are any number of explanations for that, not the least of which is a theological one.
Right.
We can get into. I say we save chosenness for some other session.
Yeah. So and this whole discussion is not new. This question of why are we still here? What is the secret sauce of Jews that will still here? So I have a quote here. This is from Mark Twain in 1897.
I love Mark Twain's quote. Yep.
Yes. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if the statistics are right, the Jews can constitute but 1/4% of the human race. It suggests a nebulous puff of stardust lost in the blaze of the Milky Way. Properly, the Jew ought hardly to be heard of, but he is heard of. He has always been heard of. He is as prominent on the planet as any other people, and his importance is extravagantly out of proportion to the smallness of his bulk. And then it ends this longer quote. The Jew saw them all, survived them all, and is now what he always was, exhibiting no decadence, no infirmities, no age, no weakness of his part, no slowing of his energies, no dulling of his alert, but aggressive mind. All things are mortal but the Jews. All the forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality? So, Rabbi Litwak, what is the secret of our immortality?
Look, clearly the Jews have developed a remarkable capacity to move, to integrate, to adapt to different settings as we have experienced time, as we have gone over time. But what lies behind this adaptive mechanism, right? And I'm going to suggest two unlikely and somewhat controversial factors can help us understand that, right? One is assimilation, and one is anti-Semitism.
Wait a second. Assimilation, are these good things or?
Yeah, actually, I think they are. Right?
All right. Take it away, Rabbi Litwak. Yeah.
All right. So, all right, look. Far more often, I think that these explanations or causes, these explanations are seen as causes of Jewish decline or disappearance. Okay, but in fact, right, I would argue that they work in tandem to sustain the Jewish people. Right? Look, let's take
anti-Semitism and
assimilation.
Okay,
that's right. So look, let's take. I think that this is the story of Purim. Right? It fits perfectly. Next week we're going to celebrate Purim. Right? And where are the Jews in the Purim story? Okay, they are distanced. They are dispersed among 127 provinces, as we read in the book of Esther. And there's no doubt that Jews differed from one another in their custom, in their dress, in their language, according to their place of dispersal, very much in the way that Jews do today. Okay? Yet, right, though there were Jews who would conceal their identity, and we'll talk about that. All right, we've got Haman, the great enemy of the Jewish people from the Purim story.
Say that again.
Yeah, Haman. All right.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. All right, blot out his name, which we can talk about that too. How to forget and remember all at the same time.
Right.
But what Haman recognized was the essential quality that makes us one people, and namely, it is, and this comes out of the book of Esther. Don't quote me exactly, but from Esther chapter 3, their laws are different from those of any other people. Okay, now that's the convenient answer. Okay, that we have existed separately, that we have we've kept our laws, and that's sustained us. But the truth is, okay, throughout much of our history, Jews have dwelt as a diaspora people under the control of Gentile hosts. It's a commonplace assumption that they lived apart from the rest of society, at least until the 19th century. In fact, the idea is that Jews survived because they refused to adopt non-Jewish names, languages, dress habits. It turns out, okay, that Jews continually adopted non-Jewish names, languages, and dress habits.
Hasn't that been a source of such consternation throughout Jewish history?
Well, here's where I think assimilation and anti-Semitism starts to work together, right? So let's be clear. We have lots of examples. Start with Philo, the great first century Alexandrian philosopher. He was an amazing historian, theologian, right? His name alone, Philo, okay, not a Jewish name, okay? He took on things that from the surrounding culture, and his example is not an exception. In fact, I think it's rather the rule in Jewish history. You know, you've got Hasta ibn Shabrut in Spain. You've got Gracia Mendes Nasi in Constantinople. Jews have adopted through a natural process of osmosis the culture of the societies in which they have lived. Okay? And I think that accounts for extraordinary richness in Jewish minhag or custom, right? Because we have pulled in pieces from the non-Jewish. Now, okay, where where anti-Semitism comes into this is just as we did assimilation, so too, and we would set limits on that, right? As a Jewish people, so too the surrounding non-Jewish community, okay? That we there was hostility. There was hostility between Jews and non-Jews in ancient times all the way to the present. Okay, and what does that mean in practice? It means that at the same time that we were adhering to distinctive ritual practices, when dwelling under either Christian or Muslim regimes, that highlights our minority status. Right? This adherence also triggers, certainly within the Christian context, the longstanding sense of anti-Semitism. Look, this is based on the idea of deicide, that the Jews killed Christ, that we are worthy of being social segregation and debasement. Those are Christian ideas from a long time ago. So what happens is that the stigmatization, all right, served as an impediment to the advance of assimilation. So you have these two contradictory yet complementary forces. Assimilation, in which case we've managed to adopt and take on the best of the cultures that have surrounded us. But even as we're doing that, that has caused a concurrent anti-Semitism, a fear, all right, that has kept that down. So we are both advancing and not advancing at the same time. And that's where I think our survival, right, is in that line between not complete assimilation, right, where we disappear because we become like everyone else, and on the other end, not complete anti-Semitism where, God forbid, we have a Holocaust that, while it took out millions of our people and destroyed generations, it wasn't so complete that it killed us off either. There's my
how do I say
that's
this?
my thinking for today.
Completely disagree. And here's why. I completely disagree, and here's why. I think that Purim is actually a fantastic example of us not assimilating. And that
Well, we were assimilated.
Wait a second. And that is both what puts us in danger and what saves us. And so here's what I'm thinking, right? So I'm thinking about, of course we were. I don't mean to suggest we weren't assimilated at all. We were.
Right.
But there comes a moment, and we face this as progressive Jews in America. I think we face this far more often than our more religious counterparts, because I think for them there's much more distance between to what extent can I assimilate and where's the line. For us, it's a little more narrow. When Mordechai says, when everyone else is bowing down, Mordechai's like, no, that's a line. I'm just not going to cross that. That is both what gets us in trouble, but it also, from a religious mindset, I think, is what sets us up for being worthy of redemption. And I think that with my Yiddish cup on, the reason we've survived is not because we have become something else or because we've incorporated from something else. It's because we've remained who we are, right? It's the what is the thing about Joseph? The Israelites, when they left Egypt, right? They kept their names, and I forget the source for this, right? It's what we hold on to that makes us worthy of redemption, not what we let go of.
Yeah, I agreed. All right, I'm willing to accept that we have to hold on to certain things, but if we held on to the things that made us distinct 3,000 years ago, right, and those became the right there became the line that we weren't going to cross, we would be out of business. We would have been out of business 1,000 years ago.
Agreed.
Right?
So maybe it's that the line is just, our line is just always moving, right?
That's correct. That's what I'm suggesting, is that we maintain our distinctive nature, right? Because we're always feeling that sense of wanting to be distinct, right? And let's keep in mind that we have, when we adopted things that from the surrounding non-Jewish culture, we gave it a Jewish sense.
Right.
We would take on the language of the surrounding culture, and when there were words that we didn't understand, we would just add Hebrew words into that. Or
can I ask you a question? You know the phrase kol b'sedek? Is that kol b'seder?
I believe that is the case.
I've never understood that.
Right. Yeah.
It sounds like kol b'seder, because that's what it means also.
That's correct.
And maybe that's exactly an example of this. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that balance between absorbing things like language, but very frequently adapting that vernacular by inserting Hebrew words or rendering the written version in Hebrew characters, kept us both in that sweet spot between full assimilation and complete annihilation.
Right. I remember I was once learning around Sukkot. I was actually sitting in the Sukkah, and one of my rabbis was teaching. He asked the question. He said, What is it about this Sukkah, right? This was up north, by the way. So, you get a good wind or a good rainstorm, or even, God forbid, a snowstorm, and the whole thing falls down. But the question was, what is it about this Sukkah that it's still standing? The Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, the Syrian Empire, right? They were made of stone and brick and whatever. This little sukkah is made of dead branches, or I shouldn't say dead, but it's made of branches, and it's still standing. And it's called a dira ara'it, an impermanent dwelling place. How is this dira ara'it still standing? And the answer that he gave, at least, is because the strength of anything comes from within, not from without. And so again, yes. I think that my only pushback, because of course I know practically that the Jews have survived because we've been willing to play the game of other nations and civilizations in which we've lived. I think also that for me it's important to recognize that God has something to do with our survival, and God sees us worthy when we build our sukkah strong from within.
I think that's a beautiful idea. What I would say is what has kept us distinct and unique and worthy is our portability. That yes. What we are keeping, what we are holding on to, is not bound by time or space. Right? That the center of Judaism is not Jerusalem. Okay? We may look towards it, all right, but the fact is, all right, that Judaism is not based in a space. It's based in what we do, and we can do that anywhere we want. We can move to any country, any place in the world, and practice Judaism.
Yeah.
Right. Which has allowed us to go anywhere and be kicked out several times
to go anywhere to
around
be kicked
history.
Out. Right.
Yep.
But I want to just, as we wrap, I want to just really highlight the last part of this phrase, the let's eat part, because this to me is the most important part of the phrase. So, Rabbi, favorite Hamantashen filling?
Oh man, that is. I gotta go with. I mean,
I didn't know this would be the question to stump you.
Yeah. I am a. I actually.
This is embarrassing. The answer is so obvious. This is embarrassing. Mun. Mun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I'm not. You know what? I would even go with prune over mun. And
God.
Okay, but I actually like fruit fillings, so like raspberry or something, where it's really.
See though, so this is we have just shown everyone what camp we're in. Mun is the more traditional filling. Raspberry is the more disgusting filling, and so I mean the newer, more contemporary filling. So
okay,
I have no idea what that means.
And boys and girls, this will be our last episode of
No, my God, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Rabbi, thank you so much for talking with me today. And for all of our friends, remember this Shabbat, right? Shabbat Zachor. So remember and take pride. Take pride in the fact that we are still here, however we got here. Whether from within, from without, from our own strength, with God's help, whatever it was probably, I'm sure, a combination of all of that. We are here. We're not going anywhere, and there's much, much, much to remember and to celebrate. So, Rabbi, thank you, and we'll see you all next week on another episode of Face to Face. Bye.